Oi to oi, welcome back to PickItUpGaming, you ancient knights of the world, you kings and queens and rulers and emperors. In this week's video, I'll be reviewing the game Final Fantasy 16. Now, does it hold up to the myth and legend of old? Or is it just a fairy tale for young little kids all across the world? Let's find out together, shall we? As I review the game Final Fantasy 16. Now, bear in mind, this is one of the first Final Fantasy 16 game that I've played from start to finish, apart from the remake of 7. So this is all new experience to me, so don't bite my head off, please. Be kind and be gentle. Please, 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 please. So Final Fantasy 16 was released this year in 2023. Now it's gained quite a lot of hype from the trailer and the way it was shot and presented. And because it's a Final Fantasy game, it does kind of bring a certain amount of hype to it. But when you tend to set it in the old medieval times, with massive beasts, massive monsters, magic and all that stuff, it does have a certain amount of appeal to it. And like I said, being a Final Fantasy game, it does already have a core audience ready to rock and roll. And for those of you who do not know, from each entry from 1 to 16, each story is different, so there's no continuation from the last story, so there's no need to worry if it's your first Final Fantasy game. Right, onto the story. So story wise, this is when it kind of shines through. It's very much got a feel of Game of Thrones, which has been echoed throughout different reviews, but it's very enjoyable. The characters themselves, from a large part of my perspective, from manager to minor characters, are all really well voiced, acted, portrayed. The story itself is fun. You control an Ekon of your own, which is a powerful, strong beast, and you go through the story, find out what's wrong in the land, what's causing the curse. You know, go through the wars as well, as you know, these old factions tend to do. They tend to fight for power because everyone wants power, and your job is to try and survive and find out what's causing the world to be how it is. Won't spoil too much for it, but the story itself is one of the big points of the game. It's fun, it's compelling, a bit too long at points, so prepare yourself for that, but otherwise very much engaging. So gameplay wise, they did get the guy from Devil May Cry to come in and help it, so it's got a lot more of an action field, which you can tell between the sword combat and how you're fighting. It's not turn based, which it used to be, so for some people that is a bit of a gripe. I like both, so I'm not too fussed, but for you personally it might be deterrent. But the combat itself is fun, it's fast paced. Once you get controls, once you lock certain abilities, it does really expand and make it, you know, highly enjoyable. And like I said, the boss fights are the main things you come through. So when you turn into those big massive beasts, that's where the game really shines. And even the one-to-one moments are still really fun. Like other Final Fantasy games, you tend to have a party, and this one, I believe it might be the first when you're pretty much by yourself most of the time, or at least controlling one character. You will have other party members come in between, but the only character you control, which is Clive. See what I did there? Yeah, so not exactly a bad thing, but for those of you who like to have multiple angles, different perspectives, different abilities, maybe the game is not for you. But for those of you who get past that, it's still fun. Clive is a fantastic character, and definitely one of the best main protagonists I've seen in a while. So with controls, sounds and visuals, visually this game, it's alright. The expected when you get to the big boss fights, the major boss fights, that's when you can tell the money's been invested in those scenes. Some of the smaller one-to-one scenes is a bit hit and miss, but you know, if you get past it, if you're not bothered by that graphically it's still quite impressive, but it's not quite the levels I expect it to be, because you can definitely tell the difference between the set scenes and then the general gameplay. But it's not a huge gripe for me. Maybe for you, but oh well. Where the game does shine through is definitely the sounds, the acting, the portrayal of the characters. Like Final Fantasy games always have fantastic soundtracks. You're never going to find a dull one. Acting in this game is one of the best acting I've seen. All the characters are highly impressive, fun, entertaining. Give their all, give a passion for it, and you know, hopefully those guys and girls can go on to do bigger and better things as well, and have more success in their careers, because they gave it all, and I love when the actors give it all and make the characters so immersive, so impressive, so easy to like, and really draw you into the story. And that's what the best thing about this game is, obviously, as I keep saying, the major boss fights, the big old boss fights, when you fight Ekons and your beasts and your beasts and your titans against each other, and the characters themselves. They make the story what it is, so kudos to them. They deserve all the flowers that they can get. So my final thoughts on Final Fantasy 16 and my final score for this Final Fantasy game. So I really enjoyed my time in this game. It did feel long in certain stretches. Certain side quests, while some were fun, some did feel kind of repetitive and a bit dull. The main story is what you come here for, the acting and the main boss fights is what can keep you here. So I'd probably give this game a 10.5 out of 10. It's one of the first Final Fantasy games I've actually gone out and purchased, and I really did enjoy it. I like my medieval stuff with my dragons and fantasy kind of stuff, so this game was up the alley for me and I really enjoy it. Like I said, the main thing for me that's really impressive is the acting in it, main story beats, and obviously the big old fight scenes. So definitely go out and get this game, possibly when it's a bit cheaper, unless you really like Final Fantasy, but otherwise yes, definitely try it out whenever you can afford it or when it comes onto the streaming services. So there you go, guys and girls across the world, across this medieval platform. Hope you're safe, hope you're strong, and I'll see you soon to the next video. Ta-ra. Bye bye.